Stop. I need you to pause right here, my child, because what is happening in this moment was not arranged by you. You did not find this video. This video found you, and the difference between those two things is everything, because one of them is something you did, and the other is something I arranged. The pull you felt before the first word was spoken, that quiet and specific recognition that something in this moment was placed in your path on purpose, that was not your intuition working. That was my voice calling you toward a word I have been preparing for this exact moment in your life. Stay, because I have something to say to you that the world does not yet have the full language for, even though it paused, openly and publicly, to applaud what happened. What the nation witnessed was not the headline. It was not the result. It was not the achievement that left rooms silent and histories rewritten, though all of those things are real and all of them matter. What the nation witnessed was the first moment the outside world was given permission to see what I have been building in you since before you drew your first breath. Not a moment of luck arriving at the right hour, not a favorable convergence of conditions that could have gone differently. A revelation, a moment I designed down to its precise timing, because you had finally been prepared to carry what the revelation would require of you. The world called it unprecedented. I called it ready, and there is a significant difference between those two words, because one of them describes how the world experienced it, and the other describes how I experienced it. And it is my account of what happened that I want to give you today, because it is the only account that fully explains who you are and where you are going. There is something settling in you right now, my beloved, as these words arrive, something in your chest that is quieting or opening or doing both at once. That is not coincidence. That is recognition, the kind that arrives when a person hears something that has always been true about them, spoken aloud for the first time by someone who actually knows it. Receive it, and type these words so that your body can feel what your mind already knows. I always knew I was different. Say it, because you did. You have always known, and the knowing was never arrogance. It was accuracy. It was the quiet signal of a design that did not match the available categories, pressing against the surface of your awareness from the inside, trying to tell you something the world around you was not yet equipped to confirm. This message was prepared for you specifically. Stay with me until the very end, my child, because every word that follows was written for this exact moment in your journey, and the words that come toward the end will matter as much as the words at the beginning. Long before anyone applauded you, I was watching something no one else in the room could see. I was watching you make choices in the invisible hours, in the mornings before anyone else was awake, and in the evenings after everyone else had decided the effort was no longer reasonable. I was watching you choose, again and again, in conditions that offered every justification for stopping, to keep going. That choice, repeated across seasons, repeated across silence, repeated across long stretches of time when nothing visible was happening and everything essential was, is not something the world will ever be able to fully measure. But I measured it. I recorded every instance. I saw every act of faithfulness that no camera documented and no applause rewarded. And I want you to understand clearly that what the nation witnessed was built entirely from those invisible moments, not from talent alone, not from opportunity alone, but from the long and sustained and costly obedience of a person who kept moving when the reasons to stop were far more obvious than the reasons to continue. You were not following a path that someone before you had marked out and made navigable. You were building the path as you walked it, which means every step required a decision that no precedent could inform and no existing map could guide. Other people in your context had maps. They had examples, models, histories they could point to and say, this is how it has been done before, and this is how it can be done again. You had a direction, a specific and quiet interior certainty that the step ahead of you existed even when no evidence confirmed it. That is not the same as confidence. Confidence can be manufactured from external sources. What you were operating from was something quieter and far more durable than confidence. A knowing that the path was there even when you could not see it. A trust that the ground would hold even when it had not yet been tested. That is what faith looks like from the inside. From the outside, it sometimes looks like stubbornness or naivety, or an unwillingness to accept the sensible conclusion that the environment is trying to offer. But from where I stand, watching every step from a vantage point that sees what the steps are building toward, It looked like exactly what it was: obedience to a design that was always bigger than the circumstances that surrounded it. The restlessness you felt in the seasons when you tried to fit yourself into the available space was not a flaw in you, my beloved. It was a fingerprint. The first quiet signature of an assignment that was never designed to be contained by the structures that surrounded you. Every door that opened easily for others and felt wrong to your spirit was a door I had not designed for you. Every conversation that satisfied people around you and left you strangely empty was a conversation I had not called you to. Every opportunity the environment celebrated and your gut quietly rejected was an opportunity I had not prepared you for, because I was preparing you for something the environment had not yet made room for. The restlessness was not confusion. It was calibration, a continuous and sometimes uncomfortable process of becoming more specifically what I designed you to be and less of what the world around you was trying to fit you into. That calibration was not punishment. It was preparation. And it was the most important work I did in you before the world had any evidence of what I was doing. Stay with me, my child. We are just beginning. I want to take you back to the seasons before the breakthrough. Not the visible ones. Not the ones the world saw, but the private ones, the ones that did not make the record, the ones that were entirely between you and me. Think of the season when the vision you were carrying was so clear inside you and so invisible to everyone around you that you began to wonder, in the quiet of your own thoughts, whether the clarity was real, whether you had simply convinced yourself of something that was not actually there, whether the certainty you felt was evidence of calling or evidence of stubbornness, or some combination of both that you could not yet fully distinguish. I want to speak to that season directly, my beloved, because the person you were in that season, the one who kept moving despite that particular brand of uncertainty, is the reason the nation paused. Not the version of you that arrived at the breakthrough, the version of you that chose, on an ordinary day with no confirmation coming, to take one more step. Heaven did not record the breakthrough the way the world did. The world recorded a result, a first, a historic moment that could be placed inside a category and given a headline and referenced in the future as evidence that something was now possible. Heaven recorded something different. Heaven recorded an act of surrender that had been in progress for years before the world had anything to see. Every morning you chose to move forward when stopping would have been entirely understandable. That was recorded. Every evening you fell asleep, trusting a plan whose full shape you could not yet see. That was recorded. Every time someone offered you a compelling and reasonable argument for why you should scale back your expectations, adjust your timeline, accept the available rather than pursue the intended, and you listened and weighed it seriously, and then continued anyway. That was recorded. The visible world saw the moment the invisible thing became visible. I was watching the process by which the invisible thing was being built, one invisible choice at a time. In the years the cameras were not present for, Psalm 37:23 says the steps of a good person are ordered by the Lord, not the milestones, the steps. Every single one, including the steps that felt uncertain and slow, including the steps you took in what turned out to be the wrong direction before you corrected, including the steps you took when you could not feel the path at all, and moved forward through the not feeling anyway. All of it was ordered. All of it was being used, and none of it, not a single difficult season, not a single moment of costly uncertainty, was lost in the accounting of what I was building through your life. Type these words: I did not shrink, because you did not. And you need to hear yourself say it, because there are seasons ahead when you will need to know that you have said it and meant it. If this channel has been speaking the language of your hidden seasons, if these words are finding you in places that other words have not reached, subscribe and stay. Hit the button now. There are more words coming, and every one of them was prepared for someone specific. Let the next one be prepared for you. Now I want to tell you what happened in the moment the nation paused. Not what the cameras captured, not the official account. What actually happened in that room and in every room where the news arrived. The reason the silence was longer than expected, the reason people stilled in a specific and particular way, was not simply that the achievement was impressive. People witness impressive things regularly without going quiet in that particular way. The silence was longer and different because the achievement was dissonant. It did not match the existing framework, the ceiling that everyone in that environment had been operating beneath. A ceiling that was not written into law but was thoroughly believed into existence, had just been walked through by someone who was not supposed to be able to do that. And the silence was the sound of a framework failing in real time. The sound of a belief structure discovering that it was a structure, not a law. The sound of people confronting the gap between what they had assumed was possible and what was now undeniably actual. You did not just achieve something, my beloved. You destabilized something. You destabilized the very architecture of limitation that had been quietly governing what people believed was available to them and to people who shared your context. And when a person destabilizes a belief that has been structural in the lives of an entire community, the first response is rarely immediate celebration. The first response is the specific and uncomfortable silence of reckoning, of people sitting with the possibility that they have been respecting a boundary that was never real, working out what that means about the choices they made and the risks they did not take and the ceilings they quietly built their lives beneath. Your breakthrough was not just a personal victory, my child. It was a verdict on every unspoken consensus that had been quietly deciding for too long what was and was not available to people from your context. And I was the one who rendered that verdict through you. In a moment I selected and prepared and brought to its culmination in precisely the way that would be most visible to the most people who needed to see it. Because I do not work only in individual lives. I work in the collective narrative of communities and nations and generations. And when I choose to write a new sentence in that narrative, I choose the person I send to write it with great care. I chose you, my beloved, with great care, with full knowledge of what the choice would cost you and what it would produce through you. And I have not revised that choice, not once. Now hear me directly on the matter of the people who doubted you. I raise this not to encourage bitterness, because bitterness is not something I invite you to carry into the season that is coming, but I raise it because I do not want you to carry a version of your own story that is incomplete, a version that omits what I was doing in response to the opposition you faced. Because I saw it, every word, every closed door, every assumption made about what was available to you. Every ceiling quietly reinforced by people who had decided, without consulting me, that you were not quite the right vessel for the thing I was building. I saw every instance of it. I heard every word spoken and every judgment carried in silence. And I want you to know clearly that I am not a God who observes what is done to the ones I have placed my hand upon and files it away as inconsequential. Isaiah 54:17 does not say no weapon formed against you will be merely inconvenient. It says no weapon formed against you shall prosper. And it says that every tongue that rises against you in judgment, you will show to be in the wrong. That word is precise. The discouragement that was offered to you as wisdom, the limitations that were presented as reality when they were actually opinion, the silence of judgment that certain people carried toward your vision in the seasons. When you were most vulnerable to it, none of those voices had the final word over your life, and they do not have the final word over the chapter that is coming either. Because the one who assigned your calling is the one who holds the final word. And I do not revise my verdicts to accommodate the assumptions of people who could not see what I was building in the seasons. They were not permitted to witness. The people who built ceilings and called them realities have now been forced by the undeniable evidence of what you did to look up at what you built above those ceilings. That is not cruelty, my child. That is consequence. I do not design my children to be permanently diminished by the limits that others set for them, and the ones who set those limits will account, in their own time and their own way, for what they chose not to see in you. But here is what I need you to hold even more tightly than the vindication. The vindication was never the point. The point was to demonstrate, through visible and undeniable evidence, that what I placed inside you was real, that the calling you carried through every uncertain season was not your imagination, that I do not give people a vision and then abandon them in the years it takes to become visible. I was with you. I am still with you. I will be with you in every season that follows. Type these words. What they said about me is not what God says about me. Speak it. And if something releases in your chest as you say it, that release is exactly what was supposed to happen there. Now I want to ask something of you, my beloved, and I need you to receive it as the request of someone who sees far more than the moment you are standing in. Think of the person whose name rose in your heart while you watched this. The one you know is carrying something real and specific and God-given in a season that keeps returning a verdict of not yet, not you, not here. That person needs something from you that only you can provide. And it is not advice. It is not general encouragement. It is a seed sown in their name as a declaration of faith that their moment is coming, that what I did through you I am still doing for others who have not yet arrived at their visible breakthrough. If this word has located you today in a place worth honoring, sow a seed in that person's name, not as a transaction, as an act of faith, as the declaration of a person who has seen what I do when someone believes me and refuses to stop. Visit the link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen and let the seed speak their name to me. There are people watching your life right now, my child, who are standing in seasons that look exactly like your hidden years looked. They are walking the long road of invisible faithfulness. They are carrying a calling that the environment around them is not equipped to confirm. And in those lives, something has just shifted because of what you did. A question that used to have no answer in their context. Has it ever been done before? Now has one. And the answer is yes. And the person who provided that answer is you. And the evidence will not expire, my beloved. It is in the permanent record. It cannot be removed. It will be referenced by people who reference it to other people who will reference it further, in an expanding circulation that goes far beyond the original moment and far beyond the walls of the room where the nation first paused. You are not simply someone who accomplished something remarkable. You are now a living, ongoing argument against every limit that silence and fear and inherited doubt have been using to contain the people around you. Your story does not belong only to you. It was always meant to circulate. It was always meant to reach the person who is on the verge of stopping and provide the specific counter-evidence that changes their calculation. Send this video to that person. Their name is already in your heart. You knew it before I said to send it. That awareness was not random. It was arranged. Be the hands through which my word reaches them today. Share this, and let what I am speaking here travel through you into the life of someone who needs it more than they know how to ask for it. Type these words, I am ready for what comes next. Speak it as if you mean it, because I have already decided that you are. There will be people, my beloved, perhaps some who are still in your life, who will offer you a simpler explanation for what happened. They will say the timing was favorable. They will mention connections, context, the particular alignment of factors that could, theoretically, have gone differently. Some of them will say it with genuine warmth, not understanding that what they are offering as a compliment is actually a reduction. Because the honest truth, the one I know in full, is that what happened was not the result of circumstance. It was the result of something far more specific and far more intentional. I want to tell you in advance that their explanation is not for you. It is for them. It is their way of maintaining a belief system that allows them to continue believing that what you did is not available to others, because the alternative, that it was available and they chose not to pursue it, is a more difficult thing to sit with. Do not spend your energy correcting them. Their narrative does not require your intervention, and more importantly, it does not require your agreement. The real account of what happened is not the one in their explanation. It is the one I know, and the one I know goes like this. You were designed with specific intentionality for a function that required a level of preparation most people are not willing to endure, and a level of faith that most people stop extending before it produces its result. You endured the preparation. You extended the faith past every reasonable point of expiration. And the result, the thing the nation called stunning, was simply what happens when a person is faithful long enough and deep enough for what I built in them to become fully visible. The nation was stunned. I was not. I was gratified, because what was always supposed to happen finally had permission to become real in a way that could not be denied or minimized or explained away by the people who had been most invested in a different outcome for your life. Type these words. My story is evidence, not luck. Because it is, and because some part of you still needs to hear yourself say it with conviction. rather than quietly hoping it is true. Now I want to speak to the part of you that the celebration did not fully reach, my child, because I know it is there. The part that sits underneath the public acknowledgement and the historic record and the recognition that the world is now extending to you. The private part, the one that carries something the visible version of your story does not contain. There is a weight in you that has nothing to do with failure. It has to do with the gap between what the world sees when it looks at you now and what you feel in the moments when no one is looking. The world sees someone who accomplished something unprecedented, and you feel something more complicated than that. You feel the accumulated cost of the journey. You feel the exhaustion that does not simply resolve because the external challenge has been resolved. You feel the particular kind of isolation that can arrive inside a very public moment because success at a certain level can sometimes make the room feel less full. Not more, I see that, my beloved, not with disappointment. With the same steady intentionality I have always brought to watching you. The complicated parts of the interior life are not failures of gratitude. They are the honest and natural response of a person who was built for depth, living in a world that applauds surfaces. The celebrating crowd saw a milestone. I see a person, a real person with a full interior life who endured a real journey and who is now holding the weight of what came after the visible moment in addition to everything they were already carrying. That weight is not yours to hold alone. It never was. What I placed in you was never meant to be carried entirely within your own strength. The calling itself was shared from the moment it was given, because a calling of this size was designed for the carrying of two. You were never meant to bear the weight of it entirely from your own resources. Bring your shoulders down, my child. Notice what you are holding in the muscles across your upper back, in the space between your shoulder blades, in the place where people carry what they are not saying out loud. Whatever is held there right now, let it soften. That is not weakness. That is the practice of receiving from the one who was always supposed to share the load. The part of the weight that says, I have to figure this out alone. I have to be strong enough for what comes next. I have to carry this without showing the cost. That part is not yours. It belongs to me. Give it back. Type these words. I do not carry this alone. Speak it slowly. Let it be true as you say it. Not just a statement you are making, but a transfer you are completing. If this word is finding you in a season of genuine weariness, in a place where the cost of what you have walked through is sitting more heavily than the celebration of the result, I want you to know that this channel was built for exactly that person. Not for the ones who have already sorted everything out, for the ones who are still in the middle of becoming what I designed them to be, who need a word that does not simply applaud but locates. Subscribe and remain. There are more words coming. Every one of them prepared with the specific weight of this specific kind of journey in mind. Hit the button and let this community walk beside you into the next season. Now I want to say something about who you are after the breakthrough. Not after the breakthrough in the sense of the result having arrived. After the breakthrough in the sense of what a person becomes through the enduring of everything that made the result possible. Because there is a version of you that existed before the hidden seasons and a version that exists after them. And those two versions are not the same person. The person who began the journey was capable and called and carrying something real. But the person who arrived at the breakthrough, after years of walking a path with no map, after choosing forward in conditions that offered every justification for stopping, after maintaining a vision in an environment that kept returning a verdict of not yet, that person has been refined in a way that the beginning of the journey version was not. The difficulty was not an obstacle between you and your calling. It was the instrument through which the calling became more fully embedded in who you are. The root system of your life, my beloved, is deeper than anyone who was not present for the hidden seasons can know. They saw the fruit. They were not in the room for the root. They did not witness the years during which nothing visible was happening and during which everything essential was. The soil of a life that carries a nation-level calling is built through seasons that are utterly invisible to the public eye. Long periods, silent sacrifices, choices made without applause, direction followed without external confirmation, faith maintained without visible evidence. All of it was soil, all of it was necessary, and none of it was wasted. The specific depth and specific character of what I built in you through those years is precisely what makes it possible for you to carry what comes next. not despite the difficulty because of it. A calling built on this kind of root system does not reach its full expression in one visible moment. It keeps expanding, it keeps bearing, it keeps providing evidence, season after season, that what I planted was not a one-time occurrence. It was a living and ongoing work. Type these words: I was chosen, not by chance, by name. Say it as if it is the truest thing you have ever said. Because from where I stand, it is you were not selected by a favorable confluence of circumstances. You were selected by me before the circumstances existed, for a purpose that the circumstances were arranged to serve. I want to place something inside this moment, my child, that will still be true the next time the uncertainty returns. And I want to speak to it clearly, because pretending the uncertainty will not return is not something I do. There will be seasons ahead that carry a different quality of uncertainty than the ones behind you. Not the uncertainty of wondering whether the calling is real, because you know now that it is. The evidence has been established in a way that cannot be revoked, but a different kind. The uncertainty of navigating territory that has no map, because you are, again, in the position of being the person who builds the map. The uncertainty of being first again, in a new room, in a new context, without the comfort of a precedent you can point to as confirmation. I want to tell you directly that uncertainty is not a sign that something has gone wrong. It is a sign that you are at the edge of what is currently mapped, and the edge of the map is exactly where I do my most important work. I do not send people into territory that is already fully charted. I send people into the unmapped places and I walk with them, not ahead of them in a way that removes the requirement of faith, but beside them, in a way that makes the unmapped places navigable to someone who knows how to walk with me. You have learned how to walk with me. The hidden years were, among other things, exactly that kind of instruction. And what you learned in those years about moving forward without full confirmation, about trusting a direction when the evidence for it is interior rather than external, about maintaining movement in the face of conditions that recommend stopping, all of that is still operative. It is not spent, it is not diminished by having produced a result. It is expanded and strengthened by having been proven. The faith that carried you to the breakthrough is not less capable of carrying you through what the breakthrough opens. It is more because now it carries the weight of its own demonstrated track record. Galatians 6:9 says, "Do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." That word was not written only for the season before the visible result. It was written for every season of a life built on calling, including the season you are entering now, including the seasons that will come after this one. The invitation is the same at every altitude: do not stop. Keep going. What is ahead of you is worth every step that brought you here, and I am still holding the full architecture of what I designed your life to build, and it is, from where I stand, magnificent. If you are still watching, my beloved, everything that comes next in this message was prepared specifically for the person who stayed. Because you did not skip. Because you remained through the uncomfortable parts and the parts that asked more of you than you expected. Receive what follows as a word spoken over the version of you that has already demonstrated it knows how to endure. There are people right now whose entire inner framework for what is possible for themselves, for their children, for their community, has been permanently altered by what you did, my child. You will never meet most of them. You will never know most of their names. But they are there, in places you have never been, in conversations you have never entered. And in those lives right now, the question that used to produce only silence, has it ever been done before, now has an answer. And the answer is yes. And the person who gave that answer is you, and the evidence will not expire. It is in the record. It cannot be removed. It will be referenced by people who reference it to other people who will reference it further, in an expanding circulation that goes longer and reaches further than the original moment ever could on its own. You are not simply someone who accomplished something remarkable. You are now a permanent alteration in the narrative of what is considered possible for people who come from where you come from. Not a moment of inspiration that fades when the applause does. A permanent alteration. Because once a ceiling is proven breakable, the evidence of its having been broken does not stop working. It keeps working in every person who hears the story and decides their own ceiling might also be breakable. In every person who is on the verge of stopping and hears what you did and decides to take one more step. In every generation that comes after yours and begins from a higher floor than the one you had to build for yourself. That is the definition of the kind of impact I designed you to carry, not a monument, not a trophy, a living and ongoing expansion of what is considered possible. And it will keep expanding long after you are no longer actively contributing to it. Philippians 1-6 says, I am confident of this very thing, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. That is not a comfort offered in general terms. That is a specific promise, spoken over a specific life, by a God who does not begin a work and abandon it when the visible result becomes evident. The completion I am working toward in your life is not the milestone the nation witnessed. The milestone was a confirmation, not a conclusion. There are dimensions of your calling that have not yet surfaced, rooms in the territory I assigned you that you have not yet entered, evidence you have not yet provided, people whose lives you have not yet touched. The building is not finished, my beloved. We have not yet seen its full height, and I am the one who drew the blueprint. Type these words, I receive this for the part of me no one else sees. If something in your chest just relaxed as you heard that, if there is a quality of quieting that was not there a moment before, that is recognition. And that part of you deserves a word today as much as the celebrated part, perhaps more. Now let me say something I need you to hold for a long time, not just through the end of this video, through the seasons that are coming, through the next time the uncertainty arrives, through the next time someone tries to reduce what I did through you to something that fits inside their framework, through the next time you find yourself again in the position of being first, in a room that was not designed for what you bring, in a space that does not yet have adequate language for the territory you are opening. Hold this, my child, and hold it tightly. What I placed inside you was not calibrated for the ceilings that existed before you arrived. It was calibrated for the territory that opens when those ceilings are removed. The gift I gave you was not designed to fit inside the available space. It was designed to create space that did not exist before. That means you will feel oversized for every room until you build the room that was designed for you. And then you will discover that the room you built has a ceiling of its own, and the gift I placed in you will begin pressing against that ceiling too, because that is the nature of the calling I assigned. It does not rest when the current limit is exceeded. It identifies the next one and begins pressing against it, gently and persistently, in the specific way of a person who has already proven that ceilings give way to sustained faithfulness. This is not a burden. This is the mechanism by which the territory keeps expanding for the people who come after you. You are not a person who achieves a thing and stops. You are a person who achieves a thing and reveals by achieving it that the next thing is now achievable. That is who I built you to be. I built you that way on purpose. Jeremiah 29:11 does not say I have a vague general goodwill toward your future. It says I know the plans I have for you, plans for a future and a hope. That word know is not passive. It is not approximate. It is the knowing of a craftsman who shaped every detail with deliberate attention. I did not discover your breakthrough and decide to bless it. I designed the breakthrough before I designed the path that led to it, and I designed you to walk that path without losing the core of who you are along the way. And you did not lose it, my beloved, through all of it, through the long stretches of being misread, through the seasons when the vision in you and the reception around you were so far apart that the gap itself felt like a verdict. You did not become someone else in order to survive it. You remained, and remaining, in the face of sustained pressure to conform, to shrink, to accept the ceiling that everyone else had been living beneath, is one of the most extraordinary acts of faith I witness in a human life. Here is the truth I want to leave inside you before this word closes. My child, this is not the ceiling. What you have done, as significant as it is, as historic as the world correctly identified it to be, is not the full measure of what I put in you. It is the first public evidence of it. The ceiling you broke was real. The territory beyond it is also real, and I am not finished walking you into it. What stunned the nation was a floor, not a summit. A floor. The place you are standing right now is the ground level of the next portion of the journey. Not the achievement of a lifetime, the beginning of a new altitude. And the altitude I have designed for this next portion, my beloved, is greater than the one you just reached. Not because the last portion was small, it was not, but because I designed the trajectory of your life to be cumulative. Every season builds into the next. Every breakthrough opens onto a larger territory. Every faithful choice you made in the hidden years was a layer in a foundation that now supports structures of extraordinary height. The building is not finished. We have not yet seen its full height, and I know exactly how high it goes because I drew the blueprint, and what I drew for your life is worth every step the ascent will require. Stand on this floor with your eyes open, my beloved. Let it hold the weight of what I am about to build above it, and trust, as you have learned to trust through every season that required it, that the one who designed the blueprint knows exactly what it was designed to support. I know your name, not the one the world uses. The name I gave you before you had one the world could speak. The name that carries your full design, your specific function, the complete architecture of everything I made you to be and to do and to become. I have been speaking that name over your life in every season, in the ones you remember and the ones you have forgotten, in the ones that were celebrated publicly and the ones that were entirely invisible, in the ones that felt like breakthroughs and the ones that felt like pure endurance with no end in sight. I was present in all of them. I have not been a passive observer of your journey. I have been the author of it, and I want you to know, from the vantage point of the one who can see the whole story at once, that it is a very good story, one worth continuing, one worth every step the next chapter will require. This is not the ceiling, this is the floor, and what is being built above it, my child, is already mine to see, and it is magnificent. Type these words, I claim the floor, because that is where the building begins. And the building I am doing in your life is not finished. It is only now becoming visible at its full scale. If there is someone in your life whose name has been present in your heart through these last moments, their presence there was not accidental. It was arranged. They are in a season that needs this word. Be the hands through which it reaches them. Share this video and let me speak to them through you. For those of you who have received something in this word today that reached a depth other words have not, I want to offer a way to honor what you received. This channel was built to carry words like this one into the lives of people who are still in the hidden seasons, still walking the long road of invisible faithfulness, still trusting a calling the visible world has not yet confirmed. The work of sustaining that ministry is supported by the people who have received something real from it and choose to invest in its continuation. If today's word found you, and you want to sow a seed that helps it find someone else, someone whose moment has not yet arrived, offer what you are able. Not as a transaction, as an act of faith, as the declaration of a person who knows what it means to be in the waiting and wants to speak life over the person who is still there. Sow a seed in their name. Let the seed be your declaration that their breakthrough is also coming. Visit the link in the description below, or scan the QR code on screen. Heaven records what faithful people do in moments like this one. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Stay because the next word is already being prepared, and it was prepared for someone specific, and that someone may be you. Let this community walk beside you into the next season of the journey I have designed for your life. Hit the button, remain, and know that every word that comes from this place was built with the full weight of what you are carrying in mind. This is not the ceiling, this is the floor, and what is being built above it, my beloved, is already mine to see. Type these words one final time, I claim the floor, because this is where the building begins.